And now for our feature presentation.
You're listening to the JB and Goldwater Show. Live, loud, and online.
Get out the rye bread and the mustard this time, Grandma! It is a grand salami! Oh, the band is out on the field! He's going to go into the end zone! Puts it up. Yes! There goes Davis! Oh, my God! Davis is going to run it all the way back! Auburn's going to win the football game! American Foe is finally the one! American Foe has won the Triple Crown! And Barnes hits one high! It's a dig! It is out of here! High fly ball into right field. She is gone! Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson! And the Tigers have won the game 5-4. I don't believe what I just saw!
Here are your hosts, Jamie Bradford and Darren Goldwater.
All right, greetings and a good Tuesday afternoon, and welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online. It is a shade afternoon here on a what could be preview of Fall Tuesday in the low country of South Carolina. We know if you look at the clouds, it's a preview of rain. That is coming, beginning later on tonight and throughout the rest of the week as Hurricane Sally is set to make landfall right around Mobile, Alabama, it looks like, tomorrow afternoon. So once again, our thoughts and prayers are with those on the Gulf Coast, a slow-moving system that is going to dump rain right around the edge of the Gulf of Mexico and inland Mississippi, Alabama, and then moving east and into our neck of the woods. So we'll keep our eyes on that. But today, thanks for watching and listening to the JB and Goldwater Show. You can watch every day for free, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. Listen for free, Podbean app. And it's all available at jbandgoldwatershow.com. That is Darren Goldwater to the right of your screen. He's to my left. He is at Darren Goldwater on Twitter. I am at Sports Radio JB. And collectively across all platforms, we are at JB and Goldwater. 843-321-8893 is our phone number. It's also our text line. So we invite you to be a part of the program in any way that you'd like to be. If you'd like to give us a call, do it. If you'd like to text us, sure. Tweet, Facebook, you name it. The little chat room is available on the app. You can do that too. With all that being said, Darren, good show today. We got Perry Orth coming up at 12:30 in Columbia, the former quarterback at South Carolina. He will give us a look at or tell us what a true quarterback battle looks like leading into camp. He was in one only a few years ago, knows these guys. So excited to get his expertise. Perry will be back with us every week on Tuesday afternoons as well throughout football season. Gene Sapikoff at 1 today. Much, much more. Do have some hoops news to get to, some golf. We do have some breaking basketball news. We also have some real breaking football news we're going to get to here momentarily. But all that being said, let me make sure I get you into the conversation. What's up?
I'll weasel my way in at some point when I have something to say. It might actually be a pretty good day today for Darren Goldwater and other people like me being from the north.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. It could be a good day.
Might be. Breaking momentarily, or just a few moments ago from Brett McMurphy. Although this is tweeted by Brett McMurphy, this is via KETZ, which is I believe a TV station. KETV, excuse me, the Channel 7 news station out of Omaha, Nebraska. But I'm going to read this tweet from Brett McMurphy. Quote, Nebraska President Ted Carter says this morning, not knowing he's on a hot mic before a news conference, quote, we're getting ready to announce the Huskers and Big Ten football tonight, end quote. So based on that and based on what we have been seeing the last couple of days and speculating, maybe within the next few hours we could have an announcement that the Big Ten will be returning to play football next month.
And what's interesting about yesterday's back and forth, where it was different from what it's been throughout the last couple of weeks, where rumors were flying and ideas were just being tossed off the wall, and no one really had any clue exactly what to believe and what was real and what had teeth. Yesterday, it seemed as though the movement was, look, if the Big Ten's going to play, it might be all of them or none of them. It might not be a some are moving forward, some are staying back type deal. Remember, they had to get 9 yes votes.
Right.
So if not knowing you're on a hot mic, the president, who, again, this all comes down to the presidents and the chancellors, he says we're getting set to announce football in the Big Ten tonight. That's one of those screw-ups that I tend to at least put a little bit of value in, because look, that hot mic can...
Hey, finally some honesty.
Right, in a hot mic.
Yeah.
And good news in a hot mic.
Right.
I mean, maybe you didn't want it out right now, but good news in a hot mic. And that's where you can actually find some honesty, when you don't actually veil your words, when you're not trying to hide something and accidentally, like I'm talking to you on the phone and not wanting to slip any secrets, I say something and it just happened to get picked up. So I do have reason to believe now that there might be legs to this.
There should be. The Ohio State lead cardiologist yesterday actually spoke about myocarditis and said, look, actually myocarditis has given us a pathway to play football, not to not play football. And so, we've known all along that they were looking for different safety measures to be in place, testing procedures to be much more fluent than they had been. We know that just a couple of weeks ago, the president met with Kevin Warren, the commissioner of the Big Ten, via the phone. We know that the U.S. government, based on that phone call, was essentially promising rapid testing to the Big Ten. Essentially, whatever they need, they're going to get it. There is a... I've heard the argument, and I don't blame people for thinking this way. It's not the wrong way to think. I've heard the argument, well, we got bigger things to worry about than making sure that the Big Ten plays football. If the White House is going to get involved, why are they getting involved in sports? Well, hold on, because do you know how much money is involved in sports? Do you know how much money is involved in Big Ten football? Billions and billions of dollars are involved in this. So if you have testing available and you're able to give this or push this one way or another in lump form, this is not to, let the old lady in the nursing home die. That's not what the point is here. If they have it and it's available to help the Big Ten move forward, to help economies, to help these football teams, to help these universities not have to go back and borrow money from the U.S. government anyways, then, and you can do it. That's not a bad thing. And, Darren, the more that I've thought about this over the last 24 hours, after seeing that yesterday, that comment from Ohio State's cardiologist, now seeing this, I'm going to say something that I haven't said yet, and I don't know if you agree or disagree, and I'm not trying to be rude by saying this, but I truly believe that the Big Ten flat out screwed up. Like, just flat out screwed up. They thought that they were going to be the leader, and they were wrong. And I'm not blaming this on specific presidents or specific athletic directors. I'm blaming this on the guys in the Big Ten office in Chicago, led by Kevin Warren, who I do respect, and I do think long term has a chance to be a pretty good commissioner. But he stepped down on a limb thinking, well, we're the Big Ten. They're gonna follow. You got one. Pac-12 did get the Mountain West, but you didn't get the rest of them, and they screwed up.
They did. And the difference, there's a huge difference between the Big Ten and the Pac-12. California's still locked down.
You're exactly
right. And that's like 100%. Half the Pac-12.
That has to be acknowledged in the conversation.
Yes. So if the Pac-12 wants to move forward, and there was rumors yesterday that maybe the Pac-12 could get going in November, that's fine. That restriction has to be lifted first if the Pac-12 even entertains this thought. So, yeah, the Big Ten screwed up. They screwed up by jumping too early.
Yeah.
And that's what we'd been talking about. Because if the unknowns were the biggest reason for saying, hang on, we're not ready to go, then why not just say, all right, there are unknowns. Let's pause. Let's wait and see if there can be some knowns of these unknowns.
Sure.
Like the SEC did, like the ACC did, like the Big 12. And there are hurdles. We're seeing them. There are games getting postponed.
It hasn't been perfect.
No, but to see other leagues around the country playing, for the Big Ten to be sitting there as the most profitable television network more than the SEC, to be sitting there watching the other schools and conferences make money and succeed in playing football, and here's the Big Ten saying, wait, we can get our money too.
Right.
And that's been part of this. The conversations haven't just been the medical side. It's been the football, how do we get football started? And the third arm of this has been with the TV partners and scheduling and how we're going to get it on TV. Where is it going to be on TV? That's been part of the conversation the last couple of days as well. So did they screw up? Yes, absolutely they screwed up. I said from the very, very beginning, it wouldn't totally shock me if at some point they reversed course. I changed my mind after seeing the way this has gone, thinking there's no way it's going to happen. And now I do believe it will. There was to say cryptic is the wrong way. It was more of an uplifting post. Pat Freiermuth, who's one of the top tight ends in the country. He's Penn State's top target, basically. He's their tight end. Yeah. He'll be a first-round draft pick. He opted out a couple of days or weeks ago, and last night put on his Instagram page a picture of him in his Penn State jersey, like full padded uniform, thumbs up. So there was optimism brewing in the Penn State fan base. Say, well, what's this mean? Yeah, maybe that's what it means.
Yeah, I do think. I said this a week or two ago, Darren. You and I, kind of toying around with this conversation. I said I do think that we will play Big Ten football in October. I just thought that at the end of the day that this was going to have to turn itself around because they were seeing it work. Now, does that mean that all 14 teams are going to play? I don't know the answer to that. I guess we'll just have to wait and see if they do play, how many play. Certainly there are places, that don't feel comfortable and maybe even can't because of local laws. I mean, you got to bring Rutgers into this conversation. You've got to bring Northwestern into this conversation. If there are things that are preventing them from even playing, well, then they won't be able to play. But that doesn't mean that those 9 votes can't clear and the rest of the league can't play, and I think that it should play. And I also think that Darren, probably, unfortunately, really unfortunately, I don't even like saying this, I think that probably over the last couple of weeks there's been some political theater going on here with some of these presidents say, nah, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Probably trying to save face in their state based on some type of pressure they're receiving here and there, which is a shame. That should not be the case. That shouldn't be the case anywhere, period, the end. Like, at the end of the day, we go back to when this conversation started a few months ago. It was all about, is it safe or is it not safe? And then, like you just said a minute ago, most importantly to that conversation, it was, all right, well, how long can we continue to kick the can down the road, continue to formulate a plan that we think will work safely, and if we can't do that, then we won't play. But if we can, then we will.
Yep.
And, there have been bumps in the road. We've already seen a bunch of games postponed or canceled. I think at this point in time, we'll have to wait and see because we're not going to really know until next weekend. But at this point in time, the SEC's plan appears to have been the best one. Let's wait as long as we possibly can to try to get all the kinks out and make sure that everybody's safe and make sure that this works and that works and we have enough information and then move forward. Saying all that, we could get it next week and have 2 or 3 games postponed by the SEC or more. We don't know. But right now it looks like they are in the driver's seat for best job done to this point. The Big Ten, dead last, below dead last. They tried to be a leader by getting out in front of it. This was the situation you needed to be behind, not in front of.
Yeah, this was a let's have some caution here. Let's take our time. Let's be as diligent as possible.
Yeah.
Let's not jump to conclusions. And going conference only for the Big Ten before they canceled the season or postponed in their wording the season, that probably, that's the way the rest of the leagues have essentially gone. So maybe that was the right move. But pulling the plug, that was not the right move, not then. And I don't know if it's political theater. I understand where that's coming from, but a lot of these folks have medical backgrounds. So
I don't mean all of them.
So
Don't
it may not be it may not be pressure from a governor or anyone in a political office. It may simply be, hey, based on my knowledge, based on what my research tells me, based on what President, Chancellor, whoever believe, I'm basing it on that, just separating everything. But then obviously that toes political lines based on where we are right now. All that being said, if the Big Ten can get this thing off the ground, it looks like a probably mid or late October start. Mm-hmm. It will be enough to have them play probably 8 games. They'll be eligible for the college football playoff in that event. And this opens up doors. Let's see how many players from the Big Ten who have opted out opt back in, like Brett Freiermuth from Penn State.
Sure.
Ohio State's had a lineman in a corner that have backed out already. Let's see who jumps back into the fold here. And let's see what we can do. Let's get it going.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm excited about this. If this is a real announcement coming tonight, then fantastic. We'll be happy to get Big Ten football back. So we'll see. Again, if you're just tuning in and you've heard the conversation, but you're wondering why we're having the conversation, it is because of a tweet from Brett McMurphy 18 minutes ago. The president at Nebraska, Ted Carter, caught on Hot Mic this morning by KETV out of Omaha, saying, quote, "We're getting ready to announce the Huskers in Big Ten football tonight." So we'll see exactly what that means. 843-321-8893 is our phone number.
We can have a drink with a good cause today. Let's drink to the Big Ten at Dog and Duck. It's actually owned by a husband and wife who are Michigan and Ohio State couple.
Oh,
so
man.
Trust me, they're drinking today, too, for a good reason.
How does that happen?
Bell Hall, I have no idea. Park West and Clemens Ferry, you can go any of the rotating taps. I know at Bell Hall they have Coast, the hop art that's on right now, and get their food, too, because it's awesome.
Football that is being played this weekend. Here's a little interesting TV note for all of us who have been craving college football, and we did get it this past weekend. Coming up on Saturday, the SEC on CBS. What? No, not yet. That's in 2 Saturdays. But they usually do occupy that 3:30 time slot. Although they won't be playing this weekend, CBS has selected a game to play in that time slot. How about this? App State and Marshall. Pretty cool. Good for them. The Herd and the Mountaineers, 3:30 Saturday.
That could be a really good game.
I think it will be a good
Yeah.
game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it will. Yeah, I think it'll be a great game. Looking forward to this, no doubt. Next weekend, though, kicks off the SEC on CBS, Mississippi State at LSU. Some breaking news this morning from college basketball, tweeted out by John Rothstein about an hour ago. Orlando will host the following 8 early season events during the first few weeks of the college basketball season, essentially a bubble of tournaments. The Champions Classic, the Jimmy V Classic, the Wooden Legacy, the preseason NIT, the Orlando Invitational, the Diamond Head Classic, the Myrtle Beach Invitational, and the Charleston Classic. So, unfortunately, this fall, we will not have the Charleston Classic return to TD Arena. Darren and I were actually set to partner with them and give away a bunch of tickets, but that won't be happening.
Next year.
Next year, it will be, but it was going to be a dandy of a field in Charleston. The College of Charleston back in it this year. For those that wonder why the Cougars can't play every year, there is a rule in these tournaments that the host team can only play every 4 seasons. So actually talked to the guys up in Charlotte about that last year. So the College of Charleston was going to be in it this year, as was Virginia Commonwealth, Seton Hall, Penn State, Houston, Oklahoma State, and Mike Boynton, former Gamecock point guard, Florida State, who could be a preseason top 3 basketball team. Right now they have the number 1 ranked recruiting class in the country in college hoops. And Josiah James out of Porter Galb was going to return to town with the Tennessee Volunteers. But that won't happen. They'll play the tournament in Orlando. If for some reason you're listening to us up in the Myrtle Beach area, thank you. We really appreciate that. Unfortunately, you also will not have college hoops in the Myrtle Beach Invitational, Utah State, Pittsburgh, Penn, Nebraska, Missouri out of the SEC, Lipscomb, Dayton, and the Charlotte 49ers. They will all be headed down to Orlando as well. So the state of South Carolina will miss out on those here in 2020. But as we all have been doing, we look ahead to 2021 for a much better year and everything.
Along the basketball note side of things, the D1 Council should vote tomorrow about a start date for basketball. Yeah. We're looking at November 21st, 25th, and that type of range. There are finals that have to be considered, the tests and school, but they'll work around that. They'll figure that stuff out, but we're looking at probably the end of November when basketball season will start, so about 10, 12 days after it should have.
All right. 843-321-8893 phone number, text line. We invite you to be a part of it. Tweets, messages, anything. That's all welcomed on our program. So is Perry Orth, and he'll be ahead at about 10 minutes. Gene Sapikoff at 1 p.m. this afternoon. One of the things that we won't talk to Perry Orth about, because there's no reason to, because there's not an opening there. Did get a good question about this yesterday, though, and I appreciate the question about Jamie Chadwell and how successful he's been at Coastal Carolina, obviously coming off of a win over Kansas this weekend. But the question that we received was if there happened to be a change at South Carolina, would Jamie Chadwell be in consideration? My response to that was a quick no, and I don't need to elaborate anymore. And it's always okay to think, Darren, okay, well, who might the next guy be around here? Hey, look, Dabo's not going anywhere, and there's plenty of Clemson fans out there that think, man, if there ever happened to be a day when Dabo wasn't here, who would be our next coach? We understand it. That's part of sport. I mean, you're going to speculate on that. But I did receive another message yesterday basically disagreeing with me, and that's fine. We're all entitled to our opinion. I also happened to just kind of glance at some message boards, and apparently there's another pandemic going on, and the pandemic is how fast can we replace Will Muschamp with whom the hell we can find. I have bad news for all of you that can't wait for that to happen. He ain't leaving after 2020, and he ain't leaving after 2021. And I'm going to give you one really simple answer as to why Will Muschamp is going to be the head coach at South Carolina after this year. Darren, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. Because he's got a pretty good football team.
It's that simple.
It's pretty simple.
And there are some recruits that are pretty good.
Yeah.
That are in the pipeline.
Will Muschamp is not going anywhere at South Carolina. Okay? So if you want to speculate because it's part of the sports conversation, I do it too. I did it with Coach Spurrier. I do it all the time with friends and stuff. Hey, you think would it be the next guy for the job? I don't know. Might be this guy. That'd be cool. Yeah. Oh, man, wouldn't it be neat if this guy – oh, yeah, that'd be cool. We're all fans. I get it. But hoping for him to fail so you can get your next coach is ludicrous. Will isn't going anywhere. They have a 10-game SEC schedule. We'll see how they perform in that, as we will with every SEC team. No one's ever done this before, okay? So there could be some struggles in there. Probably will be. Believe it or not, Alabama might lose a game or two this year, or 3. It could happen.
It sure could.
But Will Muschamp is not leaving at the end of 2020. Let me remind folks of something here. Now, I know the major difference in Steve Spurrier and Will Muschamp is it's very clear what happened in the first 5 years, or let's say the first 4 years under Coach Spurrier, and what hasn't happened necessarily in the first 4 years under Will Muschamp. Spurrier beat a lot of teams, and he kept the Gamecocks in a lot of ball games, even when they didn't win against some of the top teams in the country. You can go all the way back to 2005, his first year here. What happens? They go to Knoxville and beat Tennessee. They come home for the first time ever since joining the SEC. Carolina beats Florida. No one left the ballpark for 30 minutes after the game. Nobody. It was amazing.
Those are the best.
2006, they turn around. They lose to Auburn at home, and the fans cheered after the game. They cheered for the football team as they walked off the field after a loss. Spurrier didn't like it, but they did because they were competitive. They beat Clemson at the end of the year. I mean, they were winning games, all right? 2007, they beat Georgia. They beat Kentucky, who at that point in time was ranked 8th in the country. Carolina was 11th at the time. They won a lot of games against a lot of – now who has Will beat since he's been here? Well, Michigan was a big win in the Outback Bowl. Tennessee 2016, Tennessee, I think it was 18th in the country. And the best win, of course, last year was Georgia.
Right.
And they've had a couple of others, and then they've lost some games they certainly shouldn't have lost. Spurrier also did that in year 3 Not 5, not 4, 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know who it was? Vanderbilt. Carolina was number 6 in the country. They lost 5 in a row. Everybody wanted to fire him. Fire Spurrier. Just get rid of him. He's old. He can't do it anymore. We should be top 10 by now. Well, we were. Well, but we shouldn't have lost to Vanderbilt. Yeah, well, you're right, and they shouldn't have, but it could turn around. It didn't turn around until the Clemson game of 2009 when they beat the Tigers, and then fast forward to 2010, they win the East. And they went 9-3 in the regular season. They should have gone 11-1.
Mm-hmm.
They coughed up the Auburn game, and my God, they coughed up the Kentucky game. But it took Steve 6 seasons. Steve Spurrier. You remember when he got hired at Carolina? What was everybody saying? Oh, here come the Gamecocks. Oh, man, we're going to win a national championship. Down goes Georgia. Clemson ain't going to matter anymore. This, that, and the other. It took 6 years, Darren.
Yeah, when that hire happened, me as a Washington football team fan, I laughed. I was like, "What is you think after 3 years out, he's just going to come back into the league, into college football, and just be Steve Spurrier again?" And it took him a little bit of time.
It took 6 years.
Yep.
There are things that have to happen if you want to truly build a football program. Unfortunately, Will has actually had to kind of rebuild his football program. And don't get me wrong, He's lost some games he shouldn't have lost. He'll be the first one to tell you that. I mean, I'm not saying anything that he doesn't know or doesn't say, but you have to recruit and you have to develop those recruits. And it takes time to be able to get that special class in. It took Dabo some time as well. All right? It takes time, especially at a place that is used to being mediocre. It doesn't happen overnight. Carolina, I am as diehard as any of you, probably more so. I promise you. But we have a history of mediocrity at best, outside of a couple of spurts here and there. In the 80s and the early 2000s, and just a few years ago under Coach Spurrier when they won 33 games in 3 years. All right, that ain't consistent winning. There aren't players all over the country that are beating the door down, can't wait to put that Carolina football uniform on. You actually have to establish yourself as a program. I know last year wasn't good. I know, and we could go into why and this, that, and the other. He will get his time. Ray Tanner understands that. People bash Ray all the time. Do whatever you want to. That's ridiculous. The guy knows how to build a program. That's why he gives coaches the time to build a program. He knows exactly what it takes. People wanted to fire Ray Tanner in 2006 and in 2007 and in 2008. How do I know that? Because I was there. I saw it. Why did they want to fire Ray Tanner as the baseball coach? Because he went to Omaha in 02, 03, 04, lost in the national championship in 02 with Drew Meyer in that group, and they were sensational. And then didn't make it back with the Smokes and the Ciscos and the Havens and the Darnells and the Dishers of the world in 2006, 7, and 8. Didn't make it back. Fire Ray. In 2009, they lose in a regional game. Out. Done. It was over at East Carolina. Fire Ray. They win the World Series in 2010 and 11, and then lose in the championship game in the World Series in 12. Where were all you then, Fire Rays? It takes time. Will deserves his time. He's going to get his time. Now, if they go 1-9 this year, yeah, there might be a change. But that ain't happening. It's not happening.
Nothing bugs me more than a fan, not a fan base in particular, but fans who root for failure from a coaching staff in order for things to be
man.
Because if you're sitting there rooting for failure, then you can't enjoy your success. And then at some point, just let's say it becomes a good year. When do you flip your switch? When watching the team do you go from, damn, we won, and he's probably going to be here too, hey, we might be able to be competitive here this year. Like, when does that mental flip switch? Rooting against your own team for, I guess, selfish purposes, right? Because you don't like the guy. You know maybe 1% about him, but you don't like the guy and you want something different because you think you know who's out there that's better.
Yeah.
And so you root against your own guys because it makes you feel better. Nothing bugs me about a fan more than that.
It's ludicrous. Yep. I saw and we got to go. So we got Perry Orth coming up. I saw a laundry list of a laundry list long, just a day or two ago, in a message board. And we love the people at the Big Spur and the Gamecock Central. They're part of what we do. We love them. But they laugh at this crap, too. Oh, we should hire Billy Napier. Now, let me tell you something. Billy Napier is a hell of a coach, and he is going to get hired by a Power 5 program.
Yep.
And you know what? One day, it might be South Carolina. I don't know. But because you saw Billy Napier take Louisiana and go beat Iowa State this weekend, all of a sudden he is qualified enough to run the Gamecocks through a 10-game SEC gauntlet? Give me a break, man. Give me a break. Take that crap and run home with it. We have football to play. Let's see what happens this year before we start calling for guys like Billy Napier and Will Healy, who is a great coach, and he's not going to be at Charlotte long either. And God knows who else some of these folks can come up with to replace Will Muschamp, who is actually building a program. There is nobody on planet Earth who could have recruited the way that he has done. Now, they got to go win, and I understand that. They have to win on Saturdays. They have to. Absolutely. That's what it comes down to. Mm-hmm. So I support that argument. But the rest of this crap, polling for him to not, well, who are we going to replace him with? Nobody, because he's going to be here in 2021.
Over under 50% of SEC fans that knew Billy Napier was the head coach of Louisiana before Saturday.
Under 20. Under 20%.
Precisely my point.
Under 20.
So you see the hot name. You see the guy that just beats Iowa State.
Yeah.
Hey, and he had a good year last year that now you just found out about.
Let me counter that argument real quick. At the end of last year, ask Wes Mitchell about it and ask J.C. Sherbert or Chris Clark or whoever the hell you want to ask. There were fans, and a bunch of them in Garnet and Black, we need to hire Mike Norvell. How's that working out right now in Tallahassee? Anybody? Crickets. You saw Billy Napier, right? Big win over Iowa State. Mike Norvell couldn't beat Georgia Tech. If we're gonna compare Billy Napier after one game to Will Muschamp, we sure as hell better compare Mike Norvell then. You got to be fair to the argument here, right? Mm-hmm. Perry Orth's always fair to the argument. 12:32. Perry Orth, the former quarterback at South Carolina, up next on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road with exciting news. Every 2020 Tiguan S, our best-selling third-row SUV, is $3,500 off plus 0 APR for 72 months. But wait, there's more. With $299 down, you can own the Tiguan S for just $299 per month for 72 months at 0% APR. Not just one at this price, over 22 Tiguans to choose from. All $3,500 off plus 0 APR for 72 months and $299 down, $299 per month. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, we are so desperate for used cars that we'll take any trade in any condition, running or not. We need your trade more, so we'll flat out give you more. And don't worry about your credit. Our lenders are more lenient than ever. So if you're interested in saving $3,500 on a new Volkswagen Tiguan S and owning it for $299 down, $299 per month, come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or StokesVW.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Plus tax tag includes $399.50 closing fee. Offer subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks. Not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
Hey guys, it's Darren, just here to tell you about our good friends over at Dog and Duck. They've got 3 locations, one in Bell Hall, one in Park West, and one, the new one, out on Clements Ferry. I can tell you from personal experience, it's the only restaurant in town that I've been to since this whole place has reopened. Everything is socially distant, very comfortable, and to top it all off, great selection of rotating craft beers, food specials every day, family meals. If you don't want to go in, you can order it and have some curbside pickup as well. Dog and Duck, 3 locations, proud partners of the JB and Goldwater Show.
What's up, everybody? This is Patrick Davis, and you are listening to my friends JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Bentley throws a quick slant route. That's Debo at the 50, 40, give him a stiff arm at the 30, run away at the 20. Are you kidding me?
This is Rodgers again to the 25, 20, 15, 10. Rodgers scores! Mitchell, pump fake, throws to Rice. Touchdown! He caught it in traffic. It was worth the wait for Steve Spurrier.
Get the ball advantage. He dives.
Walks it up, looking for Kelly. Touchdown! Can you believe it?
Left side, Jeffries got space and a touchdown.
It's on you, man.
Yeah, it's on me. All right, 12:35 on a Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Driving up the road to Columbia, that's where we find our quarterback, Perry Orth, former quarterback in South Carolina, joining us today. What's up, man?
Nothing much, brother. How are you?
Well, always life in the world, always great in life and in the world when Perry Orth joins the program, and you're going to be doing it every week again, man. I'm excited.
Man, I'm thrilled to be back.
You sound it.
Yeah, you sound real fired up.
I tell you, I'm just so happy to have football back, man, and things are slowly, getting back to normal. I know that things are crazy this year with COVID, and now you got the election, and everything's just crazy. But football provides a certain sense of just normality, or whatever the normalcy, whatever the right word is, man, and just happy for it to be back.
I agree. Before we get to the quarterbacks, and I know we only have you for about 15 minutes here today, but I do want to read this tweet because this is your best friend who did something really sensational this morning. Mike Gillespie up in Columbia with ABC in Columbia. His dog had to have an emergency surgery, and they didn't have the money to be able to pay for it. It was $5,000, so he set up a GoFundMe page last night to try to get some help, and had about $2,000 raised this morning, and then somebody dropped in a $3,000 donation to hit the $5,000, and it was none other than Hayden Hurst.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that cool? I mean, Hayden, I know you and Hayden are best friends. What a neat thing for him to do.
Yeah, man. I mean, that just right there exemplifies Hayden. I mean, he's not a guy that gets caught up in the dollars and cents. He does things out of the goodness of his heart. And, it was probably just scrolling through Twitter and saw it and said, you know what, I'm gonna help my buddy out. So that's pretty awesome of Hayden to do that.
Yeah.
But again, that doesn't shock me one bit. He's a guy that if I called Hayden right now, I was like, yo, I want to go to Dallas and watch you play, he'd DM me with flights and tickets. So just a great guy, and obviously I only surround myself with the best people, man. You know that.
I know.
But,
yeah.
He's a great guy, man. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. Pretty cool story.
Happy to be in the Perry Orth inner circle. It's $3,000. That catch he made on Sunday was worth about $3 million. Holy moly, what a catch!
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what we're expecting him to do. And I know Atlanta. The reason they sought after him so hard is that they know that he's capable of making plays like that. And it was unfortunate that they lost, but nonetheless, they're going to see a lot of production out of 81.
Yeah, no doubt. He's a Pro Bowler. Hopefully he's selected this year. Will they play the Pro Bowl, or who knows?
I don't know if they've announced it yet.
Yeah, well, whatever. Just honor the guys. None of them want to play in the thing anyway.
They'll probably play it.
All right, Perry, we are playing football in Columbia in about a week and a half. Cannot wait to get up there and watch the Gamecocks and the Volunteers 7:30 on Saturday night under the lights at Williams-Brice Stadium. Who's the quarterback going to be? I don't know. We don't know. They haven't officially announced it. I've heard a couple of things behind the scenes here. But you've been in a quarterback battle at South Carolina. What does that entail as you're coming down the stretch here? You got game one just on the horizon there. What are you going through as a quarterback as you're competing, trying to earn that job? And what happens if you don't win that job? What's the mentality like?
Yeah, I've been on both sides of it.
True.
You're just competing, and every day what it does, it just makes you focused every single day of practice, that you can't afford to have have a day where you're not mentally glued in. You're going to make, poor physical errors, like bad throws, misreads, stuff like that. But, being engaged every day at practice, that's noticeable. That's one thing that I think helped me my senior year versus my junior year. But then, the competition and the coaches have an opportunity to see how the team responds to you. Ryan played last year, but the Colin kid, he knows the system and knows what Coach Bobo wants and can help run the offense more fluidly. I don't know how it's looked in camp. I've heard, the first scrimmage Ryan looked better, the next one Colin looked better. And man, typically, when you're going through a competition like that, you don't really know until games are played who is going to be the better guy, because a scrimmage is a scrimmage, but at the end of the day, you don't know until the bullets are live. And both guys have played, but Colin's played in this system, and unless you've been out there and really have had a feel for how the offense grooves with each quarterback, you don't really know. And so since none of us media folk, as Coach Spurrier used to call us, we don't know. I don't know that. I do know that this Colin Hill kid's got a big time arm, and he understands the offense really well, and it just leads you to believe that would be the direction that they're heading in, at least for the first game or two. And then if he isn't performing, knowing that you have a capable guy behind him to come in and lead the team, I just would expect that both quarterbacks would have an opportunity to play. And then, once you have that opportunity, who plays better in front of a live audience, who responds better. So I know those are really generic statements, but that's all I know. I mean, I haven't been able to get into practice and see anything or really hear anything. So, my gut, and from what I've heard, it sounds like they're leaning towards Colin Hill, but, that's yet to be seen.
What's the difference? I mean, I know there's a difference between practice and even as live gets, scrimmages, but the difference between, say, a live scrimmage under the lights and then actually playing a game. What's that switch that some guys can flip and some guys can't?
It's, I don't know what the switch is. I mean, it's kind of one of those intangible things, but the difference really is the crowd, which, is really going to be non-existent. I know there will still be people there, but it's just a different feel. You're putting on a real live game jersey, and then ultimately you're live. I mean, you're getting hit, you're getting smoked, and how do you respond to getting hit in the jaw and having to get back up? And it's the first play of the game, and you got another 3.5 hours worth of getting hit. How do you respond to that? And then your adrenaline. It's just different. There's something. The football, as far as the X's and the O's, they're not any different, but it's just a completely different feel. And so some people are up for the challenge, and others are not. I think whoever handles the scrimmages better gives the coaches a better indication of how one does. And another thing, if Coach Bobo's got the full reins to make the decision himself, he's going to go with who he feels more comfortable with. And Collins started for him, so it just would lead you to believe that he feels more comfortable with Colin, unless Ryan is really out there and just playing lights out football. So again, just would lead me to believe, and this is obviously no knock on Ryan, this is just what one man's opinion. It could be completely wrong. It could be they feel comfortable, but Ryan is really showing out and throwing the ball well. So I don't know. We'll see, but I think that it would be advantageous for them to announce a starter at least a week or 10 days before the first game, so they can identify one guy as being the starting quarterback, and he can get the first team reps, and then and then the second team quarterback for the backup guy.
Yeah, Perry, we might hear something today. I know that they'll start game planning for Tennessee on Thursday. They're off tomorrow. Today's the final day of practice. And Will Muschamp for him, though, he might just kind of slip in the starter as he's kind of, rolling through his favorite cookies or something on Thursday night in the call-in show. That's generally how Will releases breaking news. He's kind of eases it into the conversation like, it wasn't a big deal. So let me ask you this. As a former quarterback, when a battle traditionally goes this long. This thing wasn't decided early in camp, like where it's just one guy just that much better than the other guy. What does that typically mean when you have a quarterback battle that literally goes down to the final day before you have to start repping for a specific opponent?
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of you just don't want that feeling of indecision or that the coaches don't trust you or whatever. You just want to have that mental preparation of I am the guy or I'm not. And if you're not the guy, you still want to prep as if you are the guy. But there's something to be said at the quarterback position of, my coaching staff and my team is counting on me to be the starting quarterback because it's unlike any other position. It's not, a receiver that you can just roll out there. There's so many different pieces of the puzzle that go into playing quarterback that you'd want the coach, your coach or offensive coordinator, whoever ends up making that final decision, you would want them to at least say, okay, you've shown in our eyes the capabilities of being the first team guy. And so we're going to give you every opportunity to prepare yourself like you are. The indecision thing, it doesn't work at quarterback. And that's the problem with a lot of guys now. You see a lot of, NFL quarterbacks, or as far as younger guys, flounder out because I just don't think they manage the position very well. And it's hard to because unless you've been back there, you don't really know. Not that you don't know what you're doing, but you don't know what it's like to prep for a game mentally as a quarterback because there's so much that goes into it. There's so much more than you would think. I mean, you just sit there and watch a 3.5-hour football game, and sit next to somebody who's played the position and let them actually talk through what goes on for 3.5 hours. I mean, right there, just watching and listening to what they go through is exhausting, let alone doing it. And I'm not saying that playing quarterback is insurmountable feat because it's not. It's just there's a lot that goes into it. So having your coach and your coaching staff behind you and naming you, a week at least in advance of the game, I think just provides a level of comfort and surety in the sense of that they believe in you.
Let me ask you this way. How should fans take this race going down to the wire, Perry? Is it look, we've got two really good quarterbacks who have yet to separate themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like I guess there are some fans out there who look at this and say, well, neither one of these, this is a bad sign. You brought in a transfer from Colorado State, and Ryan Helinski can't beat him out. Or from the other side of it, Ryan Helinski should have run away with this job, or Colin Hill has played in this offense for the last few years. He should have run away with this job by now. But we haven't heard any of that from the coaching staff. We just know that it's been neck and neck. So should fans take this duel, if you want to call it that, as a positive, or should they consider this maybe a little bit of a negative?
I think it's a positive. I think they should always take something like this as a positive.
I do too. Unfortunately, you just don't hear that.
I mean, yeah, that's how it goes. But I wouldn't, if I was, talking to a generic fan, I wouldn't buy into the disappointment. Oh, this kid went to Colorado State, because there's a lot of guys that go to some of the smaller D1 schools that get drafted first overall, in the NFL and go on to have incredible professional careers. So, with that being said, I don't buy into that, and I think it speaks volumes on Ryan's behalf that he is able to compete with a kid who's extremely talented, from what I've heard, that already knows the system.
I
He's
agree.
playing catch up, whether it's playing chess pieces or not. So,
yep.
I don't really know. I guess it depends on how you look at it, man. I mean, people are going to look at things however which way they want. I just believe that I don't see this as a disadvantage. I see this as an advantage of having.
Yep.
We didn't lose Perry, did we?
As an advantage of having.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know what he was trying to say here. Maybe he'll pop back in here in 1 second.
Yeah, we might have lost him there. He might be going through one of those crazy underwater tunnels in Colombia or something like that. Perry, there? It looks like
we'll try him back.
Yeah, it looks like we lost Perry Orth. No, he didn't actually even need to elaborate on that anymore. He said exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, yeah.
He's spot on with that. We talked about this a little bit already in the last couple of weeks, and the fact that if you have a kid who actually knows the offense and transfers in with the offensive coordinator, and then you have a kid who, I know he played 11 games last year as the starting quarterback as a true freshman, but he's able to compete with the guy who's played for 3 years in this offense. There's no way you can look at that and think that that's a negative. All right, you got him back here?
We do.
Okay. And, hey, Perry, I know we lost you, and I know that you only have about a minute or two left. All I was saying there was you actually didn't even need to elaborate anymore. You said exactly what I personally thought was the appropriate response, and the fact that, Colin Hill comes in with Mike. He's been in this offense for 3 years, and I think it speaks volumes about Ryan, even though he started 11 games last year in the SEC, being able to compete with a guy who's been in the same offense for 3 years with a big arm and this, all the intangibles. We get it. But he knew the offense. Ryan didn't. This is a very unique situation. You don't see this a lot, ever, really. And I think you said it perfectly.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. But no, I'm excited to man, I'm just ready for them to play. It's just been so long and drawn out. We're just ready to play football. Whether it's Colin game 1 and Ryan game 2, eventually the best guy will play. And we just hope to have a successful year. Last year was not successful at all, and blame it on whatever you want, but it wasn't any good. And we just can't afford to have another one of those seasons.
Yeah, 10 games in the SEC, certainly going to be difficult, but Will does have a good football team, and he's got a different offense. And if they can put up some points this year, Perry, I think we all feel very comfortable about this defense certainly doing their part. All right, with that being said, we'll let you run on that note. Before we do, though, if anybody if anybody needs the services of Perry Orth, how do they find you?
Man, just social media is the best way, and then we can connect that way. The quarterback training obviously slows down during the fall, but we had a great year, regardless of Corona, and still doing insurance, and made it a great career so far, and look to be in it for a long time. So, looking for any quarterback trainer or insurance, just hit me up. We'll get it done. Absolutely.
IMGSC.com, Insurance Management Group, South Carolina, to find Perry Orth. Personal insurance, business insurance, employee benefits, and stuff like that. Life insurance, home and auto, travel, dental, you name it. Perry's got it all. You can find him at imgsc.com or qb1athletics.com as well. Bailey Hart is actually training quarterbacks here in the Low Country for Perry, and Perry comes down from time to time as well. But you can always go see him in Columbia.
We gave you a nice shout-out on the First Baptist TV game on Friday with the QB1 stuff and Will Daniel playing and Bailey Hart.
Yeah, Bailey's done a good job with these guys down here, and Will's playing well, and just one of those things, man. It's just been really great to see it grow to what it has grown to, and glad to have Bailey on our team.
Yeah,
well, we're glad to have you on our team. Good to talk to you again, my friend. Have a wonderful day. Looking forward to kickoff, and we'll talk to you next week and preview the Volunteers and the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Good deal, man. Well, I appreciate it, guys. We'll talk later on.
There you go. Perry Orth, former quarterback at South Carolina. I used to, when I worked at ESPN, I'd always cry to him. This is my quarterback. That was my T.O. moment.
You just were hoping that he could come back in and save the day, find a little bit of eligibility left.
Yeah. I always felt bad for Perry because, we talked about this one time up there before a game. He was like, don't feel bad for me. I mean, that's just the way it works. I mean, Perry, he's very level-headed. But I always felt bad for him because he was really the best option in 2016. But Will was a new coach, and, he needed to establish the future of the program. And the future of the program at that point in time was Jake Bentley.
Mm-hmm.
And, he this was his guy who had enrolled early and didn't have any – believe it or not, this might be shocking to some people. It actually didn't have anything to do with his dad being on staff. Will thought the future of the program was best with Jake Bentley at quarterback. And, Jake came in. They won the was it the Louisiana Tech game? And then they upset Tennessee with Jake. And so, that was the guy moving forward. But I always felt bad because I thought the best quarterback on the roster was Perry.
Yep.
As a fifth-year senior, and he had been asked in 2015 to do so much. I mean, that team was not good. They were terrible. And he kind of, got thrown into the thick of it to save the season, essentially, as a former walk-on halfway through the year, and they just weren't good. I mean, there was only so much he could do, but it all worked out, and Perry's doing just fine. So he will, moving forward, he'll join us at 1 o'clock every Tuesday here on the JB and Goldwater show.
So he's every Tuesday. On Thursday, we are going to be out at Stokes Volkswagen. There is a blood drive going on out there, the Blood Connection, and we'll post this stuff on social media. It is out there. You can find it certainly on Stokes' page. I haven't yet posted it, but you can make an appointment Thursday morning between 9 and 11:30. All you got to do is just scan this QR code, make yourself an appointment. If you give blood, you get $20.
Oh,
so
cool.
Come on out, give some blood, hang out for the show. Maybe we give away some cool stuff too. So JB and Goldwater will be at Stokes Volkswagen on the 17th, which is Thursday, at 3790 Ashley Phosphate Road for the blood drive.
You know what we should do?
What's that?
We should give away a couple of rounds of golf.
We can do that
while we're out there.
We can do that.
All right. We'll do that. We'll come up with a way to do it. You just come see us. You might win a round of golf at Stono Ferry. How about that?
Yeah, let's do that.
On the fly, we'll give away at least 2 rounds.
All right.
If not more than that.
We can do that. It is up on our Facebook page, and I will work to get it up on our Twitter page as well.
Asia Wilson has been named the Associated Press's WNBA Player of the Year. So congratulations to the former Lady Gamecock for what she's done this year in the WNBA. All right, the breaking news of the day is the Big Ten. The hot mic. Yeah, that was the president of Nebraska caught on it this morning, saying that tonight Nebraska and Big Ten football will be back. So expecting maybe an announcement later on today from the Big Ten. We'll see, and we'll see what Gene Sapikoff thinks about that as well. He'll join us on the other side of this break. We also need to get to the U.S. Open that is set to tee off on Thursday. That's right, Tiger Woods. Tell you when he's set to go. And we'll also look at Major League Baseball. What are the magic numbers? Who's in right now when it comes to the playoffs? Believe it or not, if the season ended today, there are 16 teams in the playoffs. So
amazing.
That's how it works. So we'll tell you who that is. And we hadn't really gotten to Monday Night Football last night either. We had to open the show with breaking news. We only have 2 hours on this show, so luckily Darren and I can't manage our time as badly as it was managed last night at that late football game. Oh, man. But we'll get to all that as well. So hang tight. Hour 2 coming up. The JB and Goldwater Show driven by Stokes Volkswagen. We'll be right back.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks, not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risked their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
Hey guys, it's Darren, just here to tell you about our good friends over at Dog and Duck. They've got 3 locations, one in Bell Hall, one in Park West, and one, the new one, out on Clements Ferry. I can tell you from personal experience, it's the only restaurant in town that I've been to since this whole place has reopened. Everything is socially distant, very comfortable, and to top it all off, great selection of rotating craft beers, food specials every day, family meals. If you don't want to go in, you can order it and have some curbside pickup as well. Dog and Duck, 3 locations, proud partners of the JB and Goldwater Show.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the Links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Low Country. Our back 9 is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The Links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf teams. come see us. We would love to have you. StonoFerryGolf.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Half, Public Information Officer at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. We're home of the mighty USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, Flamagore, and Vietnam experience. And we're a proud partner of the JB and Goldwater Show. We invite you and your family to come see us and enjoy a day on Charleston Harbor. Visit patriotspoint.org for more information. And now, it is my honor to present the National Anthem.
Live, loud, and online.
All right, 101, welcome back. The JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online. It is Tuesday afternoon, and it is September the 15th. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. If you're doing so on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, and, of course, on Periscope. You can also listen on the Podbean app. It's all free. JBandGoldwaterShow.com to be able to find all those available platforms and much, much more. That is Darren to my left. I'm Jamie, and we are now joined by our friend from the Post and Courier, Mr. Gene Sapakoff. What's up, buddy?
Sports is up. Actual football, maybe more football with the Big Ten and the baseball playoffs in a bubble. That sounds pretty cool.
I know.
Sports, I mean, if you were taking stock up or down, right now sports stock, believe it or not, is way up.
Yeah. Big time.
Yeah, that's right. And not just because of ESPN's recent merger with DraftKings and Caesars Palace.
Yeah,
no, but that's doing well for them too.
Yeah, it's none of that. None of that. All right, on Twitter at Sapakoff Gene joining us here on this Tuesday afternoon as we continue to keep our eyes on the Gulf once again with another hurricane. Sally is going to bring a bunch of rain to us, but it won't be what they're getting, so thoughts and prayers certainly with those folks down there. Gene, I'm going to touch on this, and then we're going to scamper back to the things that I think matter more. But yesterday, your good buddy, your old drinking pal, Paul Feinbaum, got a phone call from the parent of this former walk-on at Carolina who was continuing to plead his case against these individuals on the Gamecocks football team that they beat him up. And I think we've all seen it. I guess my question to you is really, as a journalist, I mean, is this something that's on your radar? It doesn't look like he's going to let this go away.
Yeah, it's not on my radar unless I find out more about it. We've obviously looked into it closely at the Post and Courier, but right now there's just not much more else to say.
Yeah. There you go. All right. End of story.
Yep.
Period. The end. Moving on. How about Coastal? They go up to Lawrence, Kansas. Not enough grass to be eaten up there for Les Miles right now. Another win, and it wasn't a win. It wasn't an upset. They beat them. I mean, it was 28-0.
No, even Dabo Sweeney said that was no upset today when I was asking him about the Sun Belt games. And I'll tell you, what Jamie Chadwell's got going there is impressive. That was a faster, better, more well-coached football team. And I know Kansas isn't very good, that Les Miles is playing a lot of freshmen and sophomores. He's trying not to take shortcuts with JC players, et cetera, but still that was darn impressive because it was just the knockout punch and then just kind of holding on.
Yeah, I mean, they've, now you look at the rest of the season for Coastal. I mean, I don't want to say the sky is the limit. We don't know that yet, but based on that Game 1 win, what are your thoughts about the Chanticleers as 2020 continues to unfold?
Yeah, well, the good news is they beat Kansas for the second time in a row. The bad news is the Sun Belt looks terrific.
Yeah.
I mean, Louisiana could win some ACC games. Obviously, Billy Napier, right now is the coach of the year in college football so far. And Appalachian State and, Georgia Southern, Georgia State, there's just some really good teams in that league. And that's why they wanted to play so bad. I mean, Keith Gill has been, talking up football as much as any of the conference commissioners over the summer. And I just think the Sun Belt was and still is underrated.
Yeah, I mean, I look, it's hard to disagree with that right now. I mean, we haven't seen Georgia State. Sean Elliott has done a nice job over there, and I think we'll see them this weekend. How many future Power 5 head coaches do you think are in this league right now?
Wow. I'll go 4.
Wow.
I mean, something like that, maybe 4.5. And, it's interesting, guys. South Carolina was supposed to open with Coastal.
Right.
I wonder how that would have gone. It would have been, something
Gene.
to see.
Gene, don't go down that road.
Oh, you're gonna start these guys getting heart attacks here.
Oh, Gene, have you not checked the message boards lately? What are you doing here? There's already enough Gamecocks who want to get rid of Will and bring in Billy Napier before Tennessee next week.
Yeah, Billy Napier. I don't know if it'd be interesting. Fired by Dabo Sweeney and the coach there at South Carolina. I'm not sure that that's the guy, but I'll tell you what, he is a really good guy, and he's learned a lot from the places he's been, especially from his tenures at Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely. Citadel goes down and loses to South Florida this weekend, 27-6, the final score. Your takeaway from that ball game?
Well, a tale of two units, really, because the Citadel's defense was terrific. South Florida scores on special teams, and I thought the Citadel defense just hung in there for a long, long time. And the offense just sputtered. Turnovers, failure to execute, dropped passes when they had third downs, and completed passes that should have been completed but weren't. And hey, I give credit to South Florida though, and just kind of an inside the game kind of thing. Daquan Bowers, who was just a star player at Clemson and played in the NFL for the Tampa Bay Bucks from Bamberg, he is in his first year as a full-time college football coach, having been a grad assistant at Clemson. Then Jeff Scott brings him to run the defensive line for South Florida. His guys were incredibly disciplined against that triple option, which I thought would give South Florida a lot more fits than it did.
Yeah.
How about the Big Ten? We're talking with Gene Sapikoff here, the Post and Courier. There was Nebraska's president this morning caught on a hot mic saying that tonight there'll be an announcement on Husker football and Big Ten football. Are we finally at the point where the Big Ten changes its mind?
I think we are, Darren, and I think what we're going to see is something like an 8-game conference-only schedule with a championship game. And that is enough to get them into the playoff scenario, and that's what they want. They really think that they have a team or two or three that could compete for a national championship and maybe win, and they want to be in on this. Whereas the Pac-12, I think, maybe just wants to play football but isn't necessarily as paranoid about missing out or not missing out on the college football playoff.
But do you think that the entire Big Ten will play?
I've heard that, Minnesota for sure doesn't want to, and that maybe a few other schools don't. So that's a really good question. In some ways, it would be easier if they don't, as far as a more fair, equitable schedule plan. If there's some schools,
that's a good point.
And I think that it's fine if they don't. I mean, I've thought all along, and still kind of do think, that there's a chance that because of COVID or, a political climate or some, cluster problem in a state or two, that the ACC in particular, and maybe the Big 12, is subject to having a team or two drop out. And Andrea Adelson of ESPN addressed the ACC's plan, anticipating just that, saying that they need at least 8. I think they'll probably be good for that, it looks like, but you never know. So if I was a betting person, I would say there'd be at least a couple Big Ten teams that will not go with this thing.
On Twitter, at Sapikoff, Gene Sapikoff with the Post and Courier, what do you anticipate their reasoning being for the reversal of decision?
That the climate has changed, that they're going to be honest and say that, the medical advice we got before was legit. We believed it, but things have gotten better. And really, that's true. So why not give it a try is probably what they're saying. And in some ways, that cautious approach and then coming back to it might be the most prudent thing of all. And really, the league to me that looks the absolute smartest is the SEC, just because, they've waited a few weeks to see how some of these other leagues are going and some of the kinks involved with trying to play college football with COVID problems on campuses all over the country. And they're going to be set to go, a week from Saturday. So the Big Ten does not look ridiculous to me if they come back. I just think, that they pulled the plug a little early, and they should have gone with something like the SEC plan.
And that's been, Darren and I discussed this earlier, Gene. That's been the big thing is, I think that they thought they were going to be leading from the front by stepping out, making a decision. I'm not sure if this was, all on Kevin Warren's shoulders or what he was being advised to do, or if there were some presidents who were in his ear about this or politics or what it was. But I think that a lot of them thought, okay, when we back off the ledge here and we say we're not playing football, that the rest of, or the majority of the country, at least at the Power 5 level, is going to follow in line, and then the rest will follow in line behind them. And that did not happen. And then they kind of, they didn't say much. And then when they did say stuff, it wasn't necessarily the right stuff to say, and they kind of stuck to their guns. And now here we are. And so you're going to have, it doesn't, Gene, you know this, in anything in the world now, it doesn't matter what you do. Every decision is criticized. So there's going to be criticism coming with this decision. But ultimately, just to kind of summarize here, you do think this will be the right decision to overturn?
Yeah, I think so. And once they have their first weekend, I think all will be pretty much forgotten as to how they got there. Again, I think it was pretty prudent in at least that their hearts and minds and logic was in the right place there. But you're exactly right. When they got together with the Pac-12, I think they just thought that the dog was going to wag the tail, everybody would jump in. I think they always thought the SEC, and I keep saying the southern tier of the ACC, would be the last holdouts, but the Big 12 was the key swing vote. And when they decided to join in with the ACC and the SEC, that was, that some manure hit the fan in the offices at the Big 10 and the Pac-12.
All right, into the ACC we go, and we'll get to Clemson here in just a minute. Do you think that Florida State wishes they opted out?
I'll tell you what. I mean, Willie Taggart found out, and Mike Norvell's finding out that rebuild is not as easy as it looked. I'm not taking anything away from Georgia Tech. They really played well, and with some true freshmen in key spots performing tremendously, and a little easier to go into Doak Campbell Stadium when it's not full than when there's a lot of crazy fans doing the tomahawk chop and all that stuff. But Florida State I said this on Twitter Saturday, FSU continues to be FSU, and somebody tweeted back, wow, that sure meant a lot different 10 years ago saying that. And it's amazing how fast something can fall apart. And really, it goes back to a tribute to Bobby Bowden, who built something out of nothing there in Tallahassee, and then Jimbo maintained it for a little while. But there's no reason necessarily for Florida State to be great in college football, just like, there's some other programs like that too. And the kind of program that he built was absolutely ridiculous, 15 straight top 5 finishes. And now they're just kind of an above average program.
Yeah. What was your biggest takeaway from the weekend? Was it Was it the Sun Belt? Was it Clemson looking on, at least from our perspective, like the gap isn't close to even being bridged a little bit by the rest of the ACC? What was the biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway, Darren, is that this is going to be a wild, unpredictable ride full of upsets. Partly because, there was no spring football and a strange buildup in terms of preparation, but mostly because you just do not know what kind of personnel your team or the opponent will be putting on the field. And that's going to require a lot of last-minute adjustments, both, again, in your strategy, but also in deciding that, hey, you know how we were going to run the ball, but now the other team's down 4 cornerbacks? Maybe we should pass the ball today. I asked Will Muschamp about that in his conference call this weekend, and he said there will be a lot of adjustments like that. And it's going to be a fascinating, weird season in regards to, any sort of predictability or wagering or stuff like that.
Yeah, kind of bouncing off of Darren's comments here, Gene. I do think that the ACC, I think, we'll see, is a better league than they were. I think that it's hard to always get a judge on any team after just one game, so it's always fair to overreact and criticize, but you need to do that keeping in mind that there's a long ways to go here, hopefully. North Carolina, although the score shows it, they didn't look exceptional for 4 quarters. I think Duke actually played well, even in their loss against Notre Dame. I think Miami is a team that can compete, but certainly has some things to kind of work through there. Louisville's got some things to work through, but they're better. So I'm saying all that, we saw Georgia Tech. They won the game, so clearly they're better. Just winning a game, doesn't matter how you do it at Georgia Tech right now, is a good thing. I say that to say this. I do think that the league is more than likely at the end of the year, you're going to look up and say, okay, the league is better. I also don't think that the gap is going to be any closer to Clemson. I think that just Clemson is better as well, Gene, and the league can get better all at once, but if Clemson continues to improve, then they can't close that gap.
Yeah, this is looking like one of Clemson's better teams just because we got a glimpse of those backups, and wow, were they impressive. I do think Notre Dame is, an ACC team this year, and so they're a bigger threat to Clemson than anything we've seen in the ACC in about 3 years. And I think North Carolina and Miami are going to be good. Not sure, maybe Virginia Tech, maybe Pitt. But the thing is, the ACC was just so bad last year. I mean, again, that most of the computer polls, the Sagarin poll, Phil Steele, et cetera, at the end of the year had them rated below the American Athletic Conference. That's just embarrassing. And not that that's not a good league. There it is. But you're the ACC. You're supposed to be better. And so even if they're a little better this year, kind of like maybe what you were saying, they're still not all that good collectively. But Notre Dame, that's going to be a tough out for Clemson, I think, especially if there's some sort of freaky weather on, November 7th when they go to Notre Dame. And I would love to see just a driving snowstorm. That would just be fun to watch.
Yes. You know what? When watching football in the snow, I love it. I mean, now, granted, I didn't grow up down here in the South, and people are going to hear that and think that I'm absolutely nuts. One of the greatest games I was ever at in person was when Joe Paterno broke the record for most wins. He did it against Ohio State at Penn State. It was 4-17, I believe, and it was snowing. Zach Mills was the quarterback. And, I mean, snow and football, and even if you're watching on TV, it just looks right. I mean, it's I love it. There are few things I like more with football than watching it played in the snow.
Oh, I love it too. Some classic snow games that we can all recall. I remember an Independence Bowl, I think, with Mississippi State and I think Texas A&M. And Clemson, when they played Louisiana Tech out in Boise, Idaho, it was snowing during that game. So, hey, Clemson's got a pretty good record in the snow. But, yeah, Clemson, Notre Dame. Right now, this second, that looks like the best game that we've got going. Now, we might have a pretty interesting Big Ten schedule unveiled tonight. But right now, that game and, Alabama, Georgia and stuff. But, yeah, that looks like just a heck of a game. And you know that ABC is – or NBC, I guess NBC will have that game because it's at Notre Dame.
Yep.
We'll just have such a huge buildup for that thing.
Absolutely. I like watching Army and Navy when it snows.
Anything when it snows. But yes, I once had I want to say it was my 7th birthday party. Was like a football party, and I had a Joe Theismann kids jersey, pads, helmet, everything, and it snowed. And we played football in the snow.
Well, you're doing that for your birthday this year too, aren't you? There?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm going to wear the same thing too. It's going to be that exact same costume.
He's going to have a jump castle and juice boxes and the whole 9 yards.
And I'm Joe Theismann with 2 legs.
That's right.
That'll be awesome.
Hopefully, Gene, guys like you and me are worthy of an invitation to Darren's Jump Castle Joe Theismann birthday party. Maybe we'll do play-by-play for it or something.
That'd be great.
All right, 1:20 here on a Tuesday afternoon. Gene Sapikoff joining us here with the Post and Courier. Looking at this coming weekend, Gene, I there's not a heavy slate of what we would call can't miss football games, I guess, that we're traditionally used to maybe this time of year. I know that Miami and Louisville play at 7:30 Saturday night on ABC, but outside of that, maybe it's this new App State Marshall matchup that's going to be featured on CBS at 3:30. What else is your eye on?
I'm kind of interested in this Central Florida Georgia Tech game. Is Georgia Tech really bounce back, or is Central Florida come in there and thump them? I mean, that could be good. And like I just mentioned, the American Athletic Conference, had some bragging rights last year of the ACC. So let's see how they get it on with this game. And like you said, there's not a lot of great games. Can't wait for the SEC to start next week, but that's one of the games I'm looking forward to. I would have really liked Virginia Tech, but obviously that game's been pushed back.
No, well, I was just going to mention. You mentioned the AAC. There's a sneaky, probably really good game at noon on ESPN2. 19th ranked Louisiana Lafayette, or Louisiana as they go by now, at Sean Elliott and Georgia State. So that's a sneaky game.
That's a Sun Belt game. Yeah, that sounds really good. And I'll tell you, both those teams are much better than most people realize, even after Louisiana winning a game at a ranked Iowa State.
You know what we do have this weekend, though? So maybe we don't have the SEC, but we have the U.S. Open. We have golf, and really good golf. So DJ's on fire. Is he still on fire after a week off, and who wins?
I'll tell you what, I'd be surprised if DJ is not right there at the end, and I'd like to see him slugging it out with Brooks Koepka, his buddy, down the stretch. I think that would be a tremendously fun
Koepka's not
opportunity.
Playing.
Yeah.
I don't think Koepka's playing.
Koepka's out?
I think I'm almost positive Koepka's out.
Okay.
I'll double check that.
Right,
I'm almost positive he's out.
We can still slug it out and just be off the course.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, well, I think DJ's just sizzling, and I know this sounds weird to say, but I think there's no guy on tour that's benefiting more from no fans and not much media there, because DJ just kind of likes his space. Yeah. He likes to be left alone, basically, not bugged for autographs, not hounded with a lot of questions. And he just looks like a different, much more calm golfer out there, what I've seen these last 4 to 6 weeks on TV. And even when he first came out in Fort Worth and at Hilton Head, the first 2 tournaments, he just looked way more relaxed and like he was really having a blast.
I think I saw you tweet that same comment maybe this past weekend or the week before, and I hadn't really thought of it like that. But you're spot on, Gene, with that. That is a really, really good point to make. He is definitely a guy who likes to kind of stay under the radar. He's right on the radar now. Everybody is going to be chasing Dustin Johnson. But yeah, you were spot on with that.
Yeah, Dustin Johnson is a good guy. He just really is a private guy. For instance, up at his Dustin Johnson Golf School, he does so much for charity through that school up in the Grand Strand. And of course, he went to Coastal. And works so much with those kids that come to the school. But he doesn't want any media around, nothing on video to show what he's doing. But, I've done columns before on how much time he spends with the kids and how much it means to the kids. But again, very privately, he doesn't want it out there. And so to be able to walk down, the 18th fairway or something, and there's no fans, and he knows he's going to just be able to do interviews on Zoom, I think is a relaxing thing for him.
Yeah. And over the last 5 weeks, he's gotten about $19 million richer as well. By virtue of his performances in the tour, the
Over
BMW.
the last few weeks, he's gotten about $19 million. That's unfortunate.
Guy's really under the radar. He's carrying around a bag of cash with about $20 million in it. Yeah, I don't know if you've added up his scores, Gene, and keep in mind this has all been back to back to back. He just continued to roll. July 30th through September the 7th after he won the Tour Championship. And obviously, if you include the 10 under that he started with, his last 5 tournaments combined 74 under par. Remarkable.
That'll work anywhere, even on a miniature golf course in Myrtle Beach.
That's right. No. Oh, yeah. That's a great score in Myrtle, as a matter of fact. A tough course up there. All right, Gene, what are we looking for in the paper over the next few days?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to point out Josh Needleman's story of talking to DJ Uiagalelei's parents that's online right now and will be in the paper tomorrow. It's just a really deeper dive into DJ U's upbringing and why he has the poise and work ethic that he does. David Cloninger is going to have some really good stuff on the Gamecock quarterback battle and also on Hayden Hurst coming to the rescue of Columbia TV guy Mike Gillespie's dog who needed surgery, and Hayden Hurst with a $3,000 GoFundMe donation. And then I know you guys have been talking about this too, or will be, but yeah, I'm writing a column this week. Will Muschamp be graded on the curve? Will he get a break because it's COVID, or is he legitimately on the hot seat?
All right. We'll keep our eyes peeled, as we always do, to the fine penmanship of the one and only Gene Sapikoff. But thank you so much, as always. We really, really appreciate it. We're glad football is back, and we're glad we've got you to cover it. And next week, not only will we be able to talk about the games that happen, we'll be able to talk about South Carolina and the rest of the SEC getting going as well. Looking forward to that, Gene.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys.
As always, thank you. Gene Sapikoff on Twitter at Sapikoff. We have not, by the way, if you might have missed this because it's kind of just slipped right by a lot of us. We haven't given you the new top 25 that is without the teams not playing, and I can do that if you'd like me to right now.
Go for it.
Shockingly enough, Clemson is at the top of the AP. Does this mean anything? Nope. Means nothing. But this is what we have until they start releasing the college football playoff rankings. Clemson, Bama at 2, Oklahoma at 3, Georgia at 4, Florida at 5, LSU at 6, Notre Dame slides up 3 spots to 7, Auburn at 8, Texas at 9, and Texas A&M at 10. They need to play each other. Why are we still not doing that in the state of Texas? Oklahoma State at 11, North Carolina at 12. They're up 6 spots from last week after that win over Syracuse. Cincinnati up 7 spots to 13. So is UCF to 14 from 21. Tennessee, believe it or not, didn't play last weekend. Up 10 spots in the AP.
How about that?
They're number 15. So now, as it stands now, next weekend, 15th ranked Tennessee will be in Columbia. However, I would caution anybody to put any stock in these rankings because if the Big Ten decides to play tonight, will the rankings come out next week with Big Ten teams in there?
Yes.
Probably will.
Yes, you will see Ohio State in there, you'll see Penn State in there, and you'll probably see Wisconsin in there.
Yeah. Well, depending on who's playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know those three.
Uh-huh.
At 16, Memphis, 17, Miami, 18, Louisville, 19, Louisiana. Vatek at 20. They didn't play last week. BYU at 21. Army at 22. Army's 2-0. They're the only team that's 2-0, and they're number 22.
You know, so Mike Buddy, their athletic director, who came from Furman most recently, and he's been up there now for a couple of years, one of the tweets of the month, yesterday or 2 days ago, he said, a la like a Match.com profile, he said, 2-0, currently undefeated, no COVID positives, seeking like football team, also no positives to play on some whatever open date that they've got. Because the game with BYU has been postponed this weekend already. So just brilliant tweet.
To steal a quote from The Hangover. Classic Phil.
Yeah.
Really good one.
It was good. It was real good.
App State at 23, Kentucky at 24, and Pittsburgh at number 25, rounding out the top 25. Next week, though, who knows? It depends on who opts in, who opts out. You know how it works.
You know, I'll tell you this, though. Go jump around some of the Big Ten football team social media accounts right now. I have just retweeted one of them on the JB and Goldwater account. I retweeted Ohio State's football tweet. And there's a little bit of optimism, I think, coming out of some of these social media accounts. The Ohio State tweet is a 4-second tweet. It is in the locker room. And you know when you're nervous or excited and you're bouncing on your toes while you're sitting and your knees are going up and down? That's the 4 seconds. A dude in a football uniform, all you see are his legs just like bouncing up and down for 4 seconds.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. Big Ten is going to be playing football, and that announcement is going to come tonight. So far, my takes over the last couple of months have been spot on, and I'm doing it again. I told you 2 weeks ago, right? Was it 2 weeks ago? I asked you, you said no, they won't play. I said, I think they'll play in October.
Yeah, things have obviously changed
Doesn't
since
matter.
then. Yes.
I asked you 2 weeks ago.
You have been...
Nothing had changed then.
You have been right.
Thank you.
Yes, you've been right.
I wish my wife would say that more often.
No, that's not going to happen. Remember, I was the first one. As soon as they canceled, I said, well, don't be shocked if they flip-flop.
You're right.
But I did jump off of that bandwagon, too.
If you would have been listening to Dan Wolken this whole time, you would have been, in a ditch somewhere lying on your back. I mean, the world is ending.
There's another good tweet about Wolken that's out there today, too.
Old Wolken.
You know those diagrams? If yes, then it's humorous.
Yeah, he's, Okay. All right, we need to take a break. Where is your favorite baseball team right now? How close are they to the playoffs? Well,
5 games out.
All right.
That's it.
All right.
I ruined your tease.
What is the magic number for the Atlanta Braves? All that and more. We got U.S. Open tee times and some more football to get to in the final segment on our program. Don't go anywhere. Grab that DB's cheesesteak, dbscheesesteaks.com, have it delivered, and finish the program with us. We'll be right back.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road with exciting news. Every 2020 Tiguan S, our best-selling third-row SUV, is $3,500 off plus 0 APR for 72 months. But wait, there's more. With $299 down, you can own the Tiguan S for just $299 per month for 72 months at 0% APR. Not just one at this price, over 22 Tiguans to choose from. All $3,500 off plus 0 APR for 72 months and $299 down, $299 per month. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, we are so desperate for used cars that we'll take any trade in any condition, running or not. We need your trade more, so we'll flat out give you more. And don't worry about your credit. Our lenders are more lenient than ever. So if you're interested in saving $3,500 on a new Volkswagen Tiguan S and owning it for $299 down, $299 per month, come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or StokesVW.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Plus tax tag includes $399.50 closing fee. Offer subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks, not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
Hey guys, it's Darren, just here to tell you about our good friends over at Dog and Duck. They've got 3 locations, one in Bell Hall, one in Park West, and one, the new one, out on Clements Ferry. I can tell you from personal experience, it's the only restaurant in town that I've been to since this whole place has reopened. Everything is socially distant, very comfortable, and to top it all off, great selection of rotating craft beers, food specials every day, family meals. If you don't want to go in, you can order it and have some curbside pickup as well. Dog and Duck, 3 locations, proud partners of the JB and Goldwater Show.
Hey, this is JB. Pull out those phones and hit that call button on the Podbean app. We'd love to hear from you. Now, back to the show.
Hello? Hello?
All right, 134. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show. Driven by our friends and yours at Stokes Volkswagen. Yeah, I mentioned it before break. You know what?
What's that?
Well, I was all set to put something on the smoker this evening, but I now that I've mentioned DBs, which I do every day,
yep,
I might just order DBs.
I haven't eaten anything all day.
No.
My whole time schedule has gotten screwed up with school back.
Yeah.
Because it's not just, okay, wake up, send the kid to school. It's, okay, wake up, be around for everything that goes wrong on Zoom and everything else that's going wrong in virtual learning. Thankfully, though, Bell Hall is actually doing pretty well. She's overall okay. Just a little bit of housekeeping. That's it.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should order DBs.
I should.
It's the best cheesesteak in town. I'm telling you, man. I've been to Philadelphia, and I've eaten two different cheesesteaks in Philadelphia. And they were both delicious, but they weren't better than DB's.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, like, it's not like I'm just saying that to promote one of our partners, because if I didn't think that was true, I just wouldn't say anything like that. I just wouldn't even say anything about it. You know what I mean? We just promote our partner and move on. I'm telling you, the first thing I did, I turned to my wife last year when we were up there in June or July, and I said, "This is really good." She was like, "Yeah, it is good." I said, "DB's is better." And then I had another one. She wasn't with me. She was in a little conference. And I said, "Nope." It just did. It's the cheese, how mixed in it is, like as part of the meat.
That's necessary. Don't give me meat and then just like lay the cheese on top.
Yeah. That's what it is.
And that happens a lot in Philly because the cheese whiz is kind of there.
Well, I had a cheese whiz one.
Yeah.
And it was good. It definitely wasn't as good as the other one.
Yeah.
But then also DB's, how the bread is so like soft. I mean, it's not the crunchy bread where you feel like you're eating bread and then there's some meat in there. You actually can taste the sandwich, if that makes sense.
It does.
DB'scheesesteaks.com. They're in Avondale and West Ashley, and you can order online, have it delivered. Don't forget the boardwalk fries, whatever you do. All right, the race for Major League Baseball's 2020 playoffs is on. It's been on since day one because they were only playing 60 games this year. If the season ended today, here is what it would look like. In the American League, the number one seed would be the Chicago White Sox. They would play a rival, 8th-seeded Cleveland. The Rays would be the second seed in the American League, and they would play another rival, the 7th-seeded Yankees. How about that matchup? The 3rd-seeded Athletics and the 6th-seeded Houston Astros, and the 4th-seeded Minnesota Twins, and the 5th-seeded Toronto Blue Jays.
So the AL East gets 3 teams in this scenario.
According to this scenario, yeah. As if it ended today.
And the Central with 3.
Right. But you've got 3 of those 4 matchups would be big-time rivalry games, which would be really neat. In the National League, if the season ended today, it would be the number 1 seeded Dodgers and the 8th-seeded San Francisco Giants. Wow. How about that matchup? That would mean Justin Smoke would be in the playoffs as well with San Fran. The 2nd-seeded Cubs would take on the 7th-seeded Philadelphia Phillies. Number 3, the Braves. They would play host to the – well, not host. It'd be a bubble, right?
Yeah.
6th-seeded Cardinals. And the 4th-seeded San Diego Padres would play the 5th-seeded Marlins. And I just continue to kind of chuckle at that because I go back to when they had all those guys quarantined, and you had that Joe Schmo national baseball writer going, "This is ridiculous. This is essentially a glorified independent league team. They need to shut the season down." Oh yeah, Mister, you know nothing about baseball. The Marlins will be in the postseason as of right now, and they're gonna have to play their way out of the postseason.
They're certainly not. I mean, nobody has clinched. They're in the 15 game left range, 13, 15 games, maybe more, depending on the teams and who's played all theirs and not. The Marlins are teetering there. San Francisco, obviously, at 8. This one's going to be hard to stomach, though, to watch these rivalries. Just say it plays out this way. Say the White Sox and Indians do match up. Say the Dodgers and Giants do match up. And it's being played in a bubble in Texas.
I mean, it hurts to think about that.
It's going to hurt.
Well, even St. Louis and Atlanta, they've played each other in the postseason a lot over the years, and that would renew a lot of that. I mean, the A's and the Astros, you know, Oakland would love to have Houston in town. Their fans would. here at Magic Numbers, the Dodgers, they're 3 games away from clinching officially, which we know they will.
Yes.
Padres are 4 away. The Braves and the Cubs are both 8 away. And in the American League, the White Sox are 4 games from officially clinching. The Rays, Twins, A's, they're all 5 games officially from clinching. And the Indians, Blue Jays, and Yankees are all actually 9 games officially from clinching to get in to the postseason, Darren. But, yeah, I agree with you, man. That's a really good point. Because you would have those top 3 I mentioned in the AL, 1-8, Chicago, Cleveland, 2-7, Rays, Yankees, 3-6, Athletics, Astros with real rivalries there. Dodgers, Giants, Braves, Cardinals would be more of a rivalry than like Cubs, Phillies, Padres, Marlins, anything like that. Yeah, I agree. It would be unfortunate to not be able to see that in home ballparks.
Keep an eye on the Padres, too. I know it's not a sexy team for the average baseball fan. It's hard to even really remember them, but they are on fire. They just beat Clayton Kershaw yesterday.
Yeah.
What's that, 8 in a row, and now they're a half game back, I think, of the Dodgers. There were some words exchanged after a home run hit by the Padres yesterday. The Dodgers didn't really like it. It's a fun series going on out there in L.A. right now.
Yeah.
Could be in San Diego, actually. I'm not sure.
Yeah, 8 in a row. They're 9-1 in their last 10. They're a game and a half back from L.A. So I'm not going to just give this one to the Dodgers and say they're going to win the West. I still think they probably will, but won't be surprised in any way, shape, or form if the Padres do. As a matter of fact, the Padres are playing very similarly right now to how your Nationals did at the end of last year.
Yep.
They just caught fire at the right time, and if you can ride that momentum wave into the postseason in baseball, you can do damage.
Yep.
And they might very well do that. They've scored 280 runs, which is the most in the National League this year, although that is tied for most with the Atlanta Braves. But the difference here is the Braves have given up 236 runs, and the Padres have only given up 197. So an 83 run differential there for San Diego. It's actually the Braves and the Padres are tied for the most runs scored in all of baseball, as a matter of fact. Chicago's 4 games up on the Cardinals in the Central. I still think they'll win that, and I still think the Braves will win the East, even though last night wasn't very kind to Atlanta.
Last
in Baltimore,
night was not ideal. No,
in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Again, when the season started, I mean, we were kind of trying to pick apart the schedule. We did it with Corey McCartney, and we were like, okay, let's kind of identify, maybe season-defining series. Nobody circled the Marlins or the Baltimore Orioles as impact series.
No, the Orioles were supposed to be awful.
They're terrible. And they haven't been good. Matter of fact, they lost 5 in a row going into last night's game, but they scored 14 runs against Atlanta. Touki Toussaint got the start, and he wasn't any good.
Nope.
You won the game.
Move on. Forget that one.
Let me ask you this. Over the last week or 2, I feel like, Darren, I have seen way more blowouts in Major League Baseball than I can ever remember seeing, even at the tail end of a season. I know a lot of times, you got call-ups and you got guys who just kind of packed it in and they're ready to go home. But over the last couple of weeks, I've seen a lot of 10-0, 14-1, 13-2. There's been a lot of just blowouts. Do you feel that way?
There've been a lot of runs. And remember right towards the beginning of this season, pitchers were getting hurt at an alarming rate. And there were plenty of doctors that were out there saying, look, it's because of the stop and start nature of spring training and then the summer training, whatever you want to call it, to get ready for the season, and then ramping up a full go to get ready and actually get out there and pitch. So injuries to pitching staffs have been very common around Major League Baseball this year. And I think that's one of the reasons that we're seeing. I mean, think of how many times we've seen records fall in terms of runs scored and guys with 5 and 6 RBIs on the same team and 3 homer games for Adam Duvall. I mean, the runs are being scored right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've just, like I said, when I kind of look at the scores the next morning every day, I'm like, there's 2 or 3 more blowouts,
Mm-hmm.
It's just been kind of wild. But it does appear that Major League Baseball will be in a bubble in the postseason, according to multiple sources. The Players Association and the league have reached an agreement to play in bubble settings. Jeff Passan reported on Friday that under the plan, which awaited the approval, which has now been granted, the World Series would start October the 20th at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas, and would end no later than October the 28th. But I have not seen the exact locations of these bubbles. Have you?
I don't think everything is completely set in stone. I do think they have their locations nailed down. But I don't think everything in terms of travel and how it's all going to work, it's not finalized yet.
Okay. This is the last that I had seen here. I'm just going to read this basically word for word. Division series in Arlington, and then I guess the other division series would be at Minute Maid Park in Houston. That would be in the National League. And then the American League would play theirs at Petco Park in San Diego and at Dodger Stadium.
Yes.
And then they would continue to use Arlington and
San Diego
in the championship series.
And then the World Series in Texas.
Globe Life.
Right. So that's for the division series, the championship series, and then the World Series. The wild cards could be at the host site, I think. Those could be played wherever the home team is. I will double check on that. But that's the outline that it looks like right now, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see how it all unfolds. But there you go. Now you've got the magic numbers and you've got the races, and Major League Baseball is the postseason will be here before you know it.
Yeah, best of 3 wild card round will be played at the higher seed, better seed.
Okay. All right, the U.S. Open is set to tee off on Thursday, and we're very excited to get Scott Glaze on Thursday as well, as we always do. So he'll have a lot to dish to us that afternoon. But we do have some tee times that have been released as well. And if I can get this to pull back up here. But I know a lot of the majority of the golfers that many of us kind of keep our eyes on will be going in the afternoon. Here are some notables.
Except for Tiger.
Yeah, 8:07 that morning. These are Eastern times. 8:07, it's Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas, and Tiger Woods. And also at 8:07, Rory, Justin Rose, and Adam Scott. And then in the afternoon at 1:16, Bryson DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson, and Tony Finau, Paul Casey, John Rahm, and Phil Mickelson. They'll go at 1:27. So those are some notables for the U.S. Open this weekend. And, look, I think it's foolish to pick anybody right now but Dustin Johnson to go win this thing. I mean, you have to go chalk at this point in time. But, at the same time, I don't know what Tiger's odds are, Darren. I'd like to think that he'll play decent golf at Winged Foot. Phil has kind of joked with himself this week about how he performed last time they played the Open at Winged Foot when he doubled on the 18th to lose the tournament.
Yeah, Phil's not playing well right now either.
No. Tiger has said Winged Foot is amongst the hardest courses out there. So I don't know. I don't know that these guys are going to play well this week. I have a feeling it's going to be more of a young man's U.S. Open this year, if that makes sense.
Remember what Scott Glaze said last week, that the early indications and early returns from Winged Foot right now are that it's going to be one of the harder U.S. Opens that we've had. And that's saying something, because the U.S. Open regularly puts a winner out, or 1-2 under. It's always the hardest tournament of the year in terms of how the course is going to play. And he was throwing numbers out there like 5, 6, 7 over as the winner. So this is going to be a really, really tough course. And, hey, Grayson, why don't you not knock into that camera? Thank you very much, if anyone just got dizzy. So it's hard to pick Tiger. Dustin Johnson, who has been putting very, very well in this hot streak, you got to like him. I'm trying to find the odds here right now as I'm talking about it.
Scotty Scheffler is withdrawn from the U.S. Open. He actually withdrew on Sunday, if you missed this news, because he had a positive COVID-19 test. The rookie becomes the first player in the PGA Tour to test positive after 6 consecutive weeks of none of them. The USGA said Scheffler was asymptomatic and he's at home and he's fine. He's in Dallas, but he will not be able to play in this week's U.S. Open either, Darren. So, no Brooks Koepka either.
Nope.
But it's still going to be the U.S. Open, and just the strangest of strange when it comes to seasons in golf. I also want to mention this story as it pertains to golf, though. A Georgia man was sentenced yesterday to more than 2 years in federal prison after pleading guilty to a scheme that used stolen identities to obtain tickets to the Masters golf tournament. You might remember this story. Stephen Michael Freeman, he's 42 years old. He's from Athens, Georgia. That is the home of the Georgia Bulldogs. And 3 of his family members in Texas sold those tickets for a profit. And U.S. District Court Judge Randall Hall in the tournament's hometown of Augusta sentenced him to 28 months in prison. More than a year had passed since he pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit mail fraud. His parents and his sister also entered guilty pleas last year, and they were sentenced to 3 years just probation. But as part of the plea deals, the family members agreed to pay a total of nearly $275,000 in restitution. So this guy made bank off of the Masters. The family used stolen IDs from 2013 through 2017 to cheat the lottery system that distributes the tournament tickets and to circumvent the Augusta National Golf Club's rules allowing people to apply only once to enter its ticket lottery. So I'm sure you've probably seen that story before. It's been a while since we've even discussed it. But that is officially in now. So don't try to cheat the Masters out of $300,000. You are going to prison.
If you think you're going to get something by the Masters, then you don't know a whole lot about the Masters and how that thing is run.
Dude.
Because it's just
incredible.
You're just not going to make that happen. The postseason, we were just talking about it. It's set. They have finalized exactly what the postseason format for Major League Baseball will look like. I'm going to throw it up on the screen right now. Not the prettiest graphic we've ever made, but there it is for you. It is the entire postseason, if you are curious for it, and the locations are exactly what we thought. Arlington, Houston, San Diego, and L.A. AL side is San Diego and L.A. Arlington and Houston will be the NL side, which is odd because that's flip-flop from what they typically would be. And then the home team, better seed, will host the wild card round.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. 1:52 on a Tuesday afternoon, beginning to wind down here, and it is now everybody's favorite segment. What day is today on the Handy Dandy National Days calendar? Today's the 15th of September.
It is.
There are a lot of days.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of days.
Okay.
As in 10 of them.
Okay.
Here you go.
I'm ready.
But some of this is really good. One in particular.
I would hope some are good if you got 10 options.
Happy National Green Peace Day.
Green Peace?
Green Peace.
All right, like recycling and stuff?
It commemorates the movement that began on this day. It highlights activism in the name of the environment.
Okay.
So,
be good to the earth.
It recognizes basically peaceful protest for change in the environment.
Okay.
Yeah. Happy National, and you got one, Online Learning Day.
Yep.
All of you parents out there, God bless you all, who are doing this with your children every day. Happy National Online Learning Day.
Mm-hmm.
Also, happy National, and I am all for this, happy National Tackle Kids Cancer Day.
Oh, that should be every day.
Every day.
That's an every day. Absolutely pay attention to it and do what you can.
Absolutely. As you know, every 3 months we have to screen our children for cancer. And so when I hear cancer at any point in time, but definitely when I hear cancer as it pertains to children, it always, that lump comes in the throat quickly. Happy National Neonatal Nurses Day. Y'all are wonderful people.
Mm-hmm.
Happy National Neonatal Nurses Day. Thank you so much for what you do. Happy National IT Professionals Day.
That's big time right there. I got a buddy who's an IT guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what company he works for. He just basically controls everything.
I would suggest if you haven't canceled your Netflix, watch the Social Dilemma. It will change you quickly on how this world is running right now.
I've heard. I don't even know what it's about, but I guess it's about IT and computer technology.
It's about how all of these apps and stuff, how they have changed how we think and how we do things, and what we believe and don't believe and how they literally control you.
Oh.
And these are the people that designed them. As a matter of fact, at the beginning of it, some of them were going, yeah, that's why I was going back and forth for 8 months with attorneys because I didn't know if I could speak about this. Oh, this is a real deal.
Okay.
It's starting to make its way on the national news.
Yeah, no, I've heard
broadcast.
about it.
Happy National Felt Hat Day.
I don't own one.
Yeah. Happy National Creme de Menthe Day. I don't even know what that is, but all right.
It's some type of. You can put it in a cookie. I'm having trouble explaining it. It's
a creamy peppermint flavored liqueur used in cocktails and desserts.
See, you can put it in a cookie. That's what it is.
Apparently, it's green.
Yeah, that's what it is. My mom made cream de menthe cookies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And to the good, the good food stuff. Happy National Linguine Day.
Yeah.
Happy National Cheese Toast Day.
Dude, toast and American cheese, perfect. I'm good just with that.
Well, you're going to be really good with this one. And I tell you, as great as the cheesesteaks are over at DB's Cheesesteaks, they also make a killer one of these. Maybe you should try it today in celebration. Happy National Double Cheeseburger Day.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of double cheeseburgers.
How can you not be a big fan of double cheeseburgers?
Yeah, I know. There you go. 10 days today on the Handy Dandy National Days calendar. September the 15th. Let me quickly glance at tomorrow.
Tomorrow's going to have one, and they're going to throw 10 on one day and 1 on the next day.
6 tomorrow. Huh. And it's another good day.
Good days are good.
Good days are good.
Maybe tonight's going to be a good night. Maybe the Big Ten's going to say something like, we're playing football.
Expecting to hear that news based on the hot mic drop from the president of Nebraska earlier. We'll keep our eyes peeled on it, and we'll have you covered tomorrow. We do have J.C. Sherbert tomorrow as well. Thanks to our friends at Patriots Point for presenting the national anthem every day at 1 p.m. We hope you enjoy it. We sure as hell do. Head to patriotspoint.org to tour the museum. The weather is cooling down, and if it's rain-free this weekend, which it should be out of here by Friday, you should get to Patriots Point with low 70s temperatures on Saturday and Sunday. The Vietnam War exhibit, the Laffey, the Clamgore, and the USS Yorktown are all worthy of a tour. I promise you that. Go to patriotspoint.org for tickets and much more information. Also head to holycitydrivein.com for the Holy City Drive-In movie series. Every Friday and Saturday night over at Patriots Point. You can purchase your tickets there and check out all the show times, and then back your vehicle right in and go check out the movie of your choice. This coming weekend, it's just Saturday, though. The Blind Side will play Sandra Bullock and Tim McGraw in the movie about the offensive lineman who played actually for Ed Orgeron at Ole Miss before heading to the NFL. That would be Michael Orr.
Yep.
And then the following weekend, Friday night, it is 16 Candles, a classic. And another classic Saturday night, The Karate Kid. Get your tickets now at holycitydrivein.com.
D1 Council's meeting tomorrow. There will be basketball issues on the table. Also on the table, spring football. That could be approved for spring football and an FCS championship. That could be approved tomorrow for the D1 Council. That is at least something that is on the table for the council to vote on tomorrow.
Fantastic. Dabo Sweeney met with the media today. Nothing substantial. A couple of injury news and notes. I know Darion Kendrick is expected to return this weekend for the Tigers as they take on the Citadel Bulldogs on Saturday afternoon. So we'll talk more about that game as the week unfolds. Again, as I mentioned, J.C. Sherbert tomorrow. Final day of preseason practice for South Carolina. They'll be off tomorrow, and then they will begin game planning for Tennessee on Thursday. Maybe we'll have a starting quarterback by then. I will tell you that I have heard essentially who the starting quarterback is. But out of respect for the football program at South Carolina, it is not my job to announce that. Will Muschamp will announce that at some point in time, and when he does, we'll discuss it. But nonetheless, Carolina will be in good hands. It has been a good quarterback battle. Perry Orth spoke to that earlier in our program as well. Perry will join us weekly on Tuesdays moving forward in football season. So we appreciate his time. We appreciate Gene Sapkoff and his time. And you don't ever get to see it, but Darren, even though he has fun in that computer screen that you watch, He does a lot of hard work behind the scenes, and we always appreciate that.
So do you. And as you guys are watching, listening, rate the podcast if you're doing it that way. Give us 5 stars. We had an all-time high of downloads yesterday. Rock on. Keep that up. Viewership also skyrocketing. Share the show. Tell your friends. Help us grow.
Yeah, absolutely. For Darren, Perry, and Gene, I'm Jamie. We hope you have a terrific Tuesday afternoon. And we're back tomorrow with the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by our friends and yours at Stokes Volkswagen.